All right, so this is exciting. This is kind of like the first time I've ever gone live on this YouTube channel, but I thought it'd be a neat experience to do. I think it'd be fun to go out there and go live more. And even though probably, with a small channel like myself, most people won't actually see it live. Like they'll see it more as once it's actually uploaded as a video. But I think it would just be fun to kind of start going live. So if you're watching this as an actual video and you're not watching this live, make sure you subscribe to the channel and then also turn on the notifications because then it would help you, you'll be notified every time I go live. So the first thing I'm about to do, before I get into what I actually want to talk about, is I'm basically going to just share this with my followers real quick, the ones that aren't already subscribed to this channel. And then I want to get into Bitcoin and really why I'm so bullish on Bitcoin, and I think it's going to do insanely well as especially right now. I put in my first investment into Bitcoin. Obviously I've made a lot since then, but it's I initially made my first investment into Bitcoin, I believe around December of last year. So I haven't been into Bitcoin that long, and it's not something that I've taken. It's not something it was always something on my mind, always something I wanted to get into. I remember one time I was listening to a podcast by, I don't remember who it was by, but I remember I was listening to a podcast episode and they were talking, and this was back when it was around, I believe it was just under $10,000 a coin. So obviously nowhere near the over $50,000 it's currently at. But it was initially around, just a few, $10,000 a coin. I was thinking about getting into it. But when I watched the episode, I kind of thought it was more likely to go down than up. And in the short term, I was completely right. But in the long term, I couldn't have been more wrong. I'm just going to send out a link real quick. Hold on a second. All right, just sent out a link. But anyway, I could have been more wrong about it. And as I kept seeing it go up and I kept seeing me be more and more wrong, I still thought long-term wise, Bitcoin wasn't a good investment. And I think that really changed once it hit 20K a coin. I remember when that happened, I saw everyone talking about it on Twitter. I saw it kept getting more and more recognition. And right then is when I decided that I was wrong and it was time to invest in Bitcoin. It was that moment when I saw all the attention it was getting just from hitting 20K a coin that I really, recognized that Bitcoin was something that I wanted to be in. But the only issue with it is that I thought the price was too high. I still remember as soon as it hit 20K, I was like, all right, so it has a lot of hype right now. It has a lot of people going into it, but because it just hit this huge milestone, it's most likely going to pull back before it keeps going up. And this is something that we see a lot, especially now as it's taken huge strides so quickly, where as soon as it hits the next milestone, it goes up just a little bit more and then falls back down. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen when it hits 20K. I'd already made the decision to get into it at that point, but I didn't really see the need to I don't know. I thought it would pull back and I thought I'd get a much cheaper deal. The only issue is that's not what happened. I remember it went up to 22K a coin. And then I realized that I was not gonna time this crypto. I just wasn't. So then I put my initial investment in. And I've been putting more and more in as it goes. Basically my thing is I, pick a point. Let's say right now it's at I believe 54K a coin or 56K a coin, no 56K a coin. And once it's 60K, I'm probably going to stop putting money in there and then watch it draw back and then put more money into it. But it's I'm really bullish on Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency for these reasons. First, a lot of institutions are getting into it, and they're not just getting into it a small amount to kind of save face just in case it goes up. They're putting a massive investment into it. We saw this with Tesla, where it put $1.6 billion into the coin. This isn't something where they're putting into it just because if it goes up, we want to save face to the people that are using us for financial services. And if it goes down, it's just a little bit in there, so it won't really be that big of a deal. They're putting massive investments into it. And I do assume, and I'm making an assumption here, but I assume these people know more about cryptocurrency and know more about all of it really than I do because of their track record and the fact that they're so successful. Obviously, I'm nowhere near their level on this, but I trust their opinion on it. And when they're putting these huge investments into the cryptocurrency, and they're putting such a huge, like, they're doing like so much work, and like they're believing that it's going to grow so much. I'm inclined to believe that, man, when you have all these people that are putting like, huge investments into it, what does it do? It boosts the price. So short term wise, I think this will be a massive boost to the price, but long term wise, I think as this becomes like more and more of a factor, and like they start seeing it like, growing, I think it's just going to keep going from there, especially for a while. Like obviously, anytime there's something like this bullish and something that this many people are putting in like money into, obviously it's going to get to the point where it does, correct, like it does like semi crash. And obviously, like everyone that I talk to about Bitcoin who's not into it says that the reason they're not into it is because of the fact that, so far, like we've seen it take, like 80% dips, like, over time. But I really think that's about to be, I'm not going to say that's something in the past as a whole, but I think it's going to be a lot less of a factor. And the reason that I believe this is because, right now, like so far, we've seen it mostly be like young people actually in, cryptocurrency. And when something like, falls a little bit, like most new investors like myself, panic and then they sell. Like I remember when I first started investing, like the first time, it was probably like my first like major red day. I instantly panicked and like I actually considered like pulling everything out. But then I was like, no, I'm in it for the long term. There's nothing to worry about. And I kept it in there. But most people they do pull out when something like this happens. And I think that's really been I think that's really been why we've seen such like volatileness like with the cryptocurrency was taking these like huge sharp like turns down. And I think that's something that's really going to be going away now that a lot of the money that's going to be like into cryptocurrency isn't really going to be, the young people at this point. Like now that there's all these like established investors and like there's so many, Bitcoin whales, like people like holding like large supply of the coin who are not selling but going long term, there's really not, at least in my opinion, with like the information I have, like looking at it, I really don't think there's going to be that sharp of dips anymore. Like obviously it's still going to fall. We're still going to have like red days, but I really think a lot of like the huge crashes, I think that's really going to be a thing of the past. Another reason that I'm really into like Bitcoin, I think it's going to be such a good like long-term strategy for me is the fact that more and more like institutions are actually accepting it as a currency. I think the more that happens, the more start getting out there. And like this is what we're seeing. This is not obviously just with Bitcoin, it's also with Ethereum as well, like where more and more places are starting to accept it as currency. I believe that this means that they believe that it's not going to go down that much in value. Otherwise, they wouldn't accept it like as the currency because they want, like they don't want to get like $5 with a Bitcoin and then that turned into $3 like, over time. Like they're obviously putting a lot of faith in its stability for one, of like not, taking crashes, and also the fact that it's going to grow or they won't really be accepting it as payment in the first place. And also like the really like the last reason I'm so bullish on this cryptocurrency is because of how many like other countries peoples are starting to get into it. Like if you look, like there's I believe Nigeria is a big one where there's like, all these countries that are putting like large like sums of money, like people that are putting really like everything into Bitcoin because they believe in it that much. And obviously the more money that goes into it, the more it's going to grow. And I think this is something that I really don't think this is like a temporary thing. I think we're going to see like over time, more and more people like start getting it, like more and more like countries, like, the population start getting into it, like start pouring money into it. And I really think this is going to make it really, grow from that point. And this is something that like I'm really excited to see and hope ends up, like I hope this ends up being like a really good thing long term. Like I remember when, Bitcoin was very new, there was this place called Cyprus where their bank essentially took their, like, just completely stole their money. Like basically Cyprus had massive debt. So what happened was, as the debt grew and Cyprus started to pay it back, they basically did a one-time tax where every single bank account that had more than $100,000 in it. So if you had $200,000 in your bank account, they just left 100,000 in. So they just stole $100,000. So if you had $1 million in your bank account, they would steal $900,000, and they would use that to like pay it back. And the people that were in that country, there's nothing that they could do. And then after that, like after this whole thing happened, you see a lot of those people start pouring money into Bitcoin because it was like the only place they keep their money safe just in case something ever like that happened again. Like obviously that's a very extreme case, but it kind of just like shows like the mindset of a lot of people where they want to like keep their money as protected as possible. Because I really do believe Bitcoin is like for the people, whereas like the people actually have a lot of control like over it. And I really think even though that's like an extreme case, like what happened with Cyprus, it's something that's going to encourage a lot of people to do the same because it wasn't just Cyprus people putting their money into Bitcoin after that. It was also, just regular people that like saw what was happening over there and then realized that could happen to them. And just like the people in Cyprus, there was nothing they could do about it. So they start putting their money, like more into like Bitcoin, like more of something like the government can't really like take from them. And I think like, while we're seeing like other countries put like huge sums of money into the cryptocurrency, I really do think that's going to be something that like boosts it long term. Like honestly, when it comes to cryptocurrency, I'm very big into Bitcoin. I'm very big into like Ethereum, and that's really it. I don't have any money in like any well besides like Dogecoins for the meme, but I don't have any money in any other like cryptocurrency at all because those are the ones I really believe are gonna and like obviously I'm not an expert in like the other ones at all, or even like the ones we're talking about. But it's like I really do believe those are gonna be the ones that take such a huge like shift like upwards. Like I really do think they're going to be, massively growing. They're going to be high growth, and I really do believe they're going to be like. I'm not saying they're going to be like the world's currency. Like I know like a lot of Bitcoiners do believe that. I'm not. I don't necessarily like agree or disagree with that, but I do think it's going to be like a store of value where people can like hold their money without it being an issue. Like it's just something they can like put their money in. And I really do think we're gonna get to the point, like even if it's not like gonna be, the actual like established like world currency situation. I really do think like especially with Bitcoin that it's just gonna be a place where people feel they can put their money and not worry about it. Like it's something safe, it's something that other people can't really get to for like the most part. And I really do think that's really how we're going to see this go like long term. And I really do think, especially like right now, that it's a very, very nice investment. Like I really don't know where I think it'll go. Like if it'll go to like 100K, like 500K, like a million. I think 100K obviously it'll reach. I don't know for sure if it'll hit 500K because I believe if it's $500,000 a coin, it'll have like the same market cap as gold at that point. Like I'm pretty sure that's why a lot of people think it'll get there. And it's like I don't really know if it'll get there, but I do think right now it's a very good investment because of the reason I just said. I guess it's really all for this video. Like it was actually really fun going live. It's something I probably want to do like more often, especially I guess like subscribers go and everything. So thank you for watching like this video and going live with me. And make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications so that next time I go live, you can be a part of it. Thank you for watching.